Welcome to this episode of Trojan Poetry. This is a special episode, an epic episode for many reasons. First of all, you want to tell them the first reason, John?
It's our Halloween episode, our third Halloween episode.
In case you didn't notice, right? And, well, Hank's dressed up, of course. But
yes.
As
Superintendent, scary costume.
Right, so it's our 99th episode, so we invited our superintendent, Hank Thiele, to join
District
us.
99. From 99 and 99. Yeah, thanks for having me.
Right, and when we said we were going to dress up for Halloween, he said he was also going to dress up for Halloween. So obviously I am Waldo.
I'm a deer.
I'm
Wait,
superintendent.
I thought you were a reindeer.
Well, a reindeer.
Yeah,
It's a type of deer. It's
All
a
right,
type of deer.
So maybe in the comments try to guess which reindeer he is.
Okay.
I've got ideas.
And Hank, you are dressed as...
Yeah, the scary superintendent.
striking fear into the hearts of children.
And teachers everywhere.
No,
Yes.
teachers, we're not scared. We deal with teenagers.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
All right, so
so,
Mike, you've
yep.
chosen the poem.
Yep, so this is in honor of Halloween. Our poem is called To the Dead in the Graveyard Underneath My Window by Adelaide Crapsey. Now, great last name, first of all. Second of all, very literal title. You don't like that? Very literal title.
That joke was in the toilet.
Oh, hey.
That's why he's here.
All right, we're gonna have a drum track there, right? But seriously, Forks.
I'm a fork.
And the poem. Here we go. Written in a moment of exasperation. How can you lie so still? All day I watch, and never a blade of all the green sod moves to show where restlessly you toss and turn, and fling a desperate arm or draw up knees stiffened and aching from their long disuse. I watch all night, and not one ghost comes forth to take its freedom of the midnight hour. Oh, have you no rebellion in your bones? The very worms must scorn you where you lie, a pallid, mouldering, acquiescent folk, meek habitants of unresented graves. Why are you there in your straight row on row, where I must ever see you from my bed, that in your mere dumb presence iterate the text so weary in my ears? Lie still and rest, be patient, and lie still and rest. I'll not be patient, I will not lie still. There's a brown road runs between the pines, and further on the purple woodlands lie, and still beyond blue mountains lift and loom. And I would walk the road, and I would be deep in the wooden shade, and I would reach the windy mountain tops that touch the clouds. My eyes may follow, but my feet are held. Recumbent as you others, must I too submit? Be mimic of your movelessness with pillow and counterpane for stone and sod? And if the many sayings of the wise teach of submission, I will not submit, but with a spirit all unreconciled, flash an unquenched defiance to the stars. Better it is to walk, to run, to dance. Better it is to laugh and leap and sing, to know the open skies of dawn and night, to move untrammeled down the flaming noon. And I will clamber it through weary days, keeping the edge of deprivation sharp, nor with the pliant speaking on my lips of resignation, sister to defeat. I'll not be patient, I will not lie still.
So I've actually read it, so I'm going to recuse myself momentarily. And Hank, you're the only person who hasn't read it before.
Yeah.
And he has bravely offered
To go first.
and to share.
That was a mistake.
There's no shame in not understanding something on the first read. So, what do you think? What struck you?
Well, the idea of whoever this is really stuck. Stood out to me. Like that rings true to me. You know, through the whole time it seems like they're stuck. It's obviously looking out the window. So it seems as though that they would like to be able to move past that and are unable to. Other things that stuck out in the middle here is the alliteration using colors really stood out to me. Like all of a sudden we go from, you know, what you have is typically this, if you're thinking of a graveyard, right, it's grays, it's blacks, it's dreary, it's dark, to all of a sudden this splash of colors in the middle of of like what it would be to get away from the graveyard is what I kind of read into that. But then you come back to it where stone and sod and you know that better to run, better to dance, but and leap and sing. But it sounds like they can't do any of that. They're stuck in this space looking over the graveyard, whether that's death or loss or whatever it is. To me, it feels like they want to get to that spot, but they can't move beyond wherever they're at, whether that's physically or emotionally, they're stuck there.
Yeah, that sense of being frozen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. John, did you want to jump in? I know you've seen it before, but...
Well, I think to piggyback on what you said, right, you're exactly right. I think that splash of color in the middle, like what would it be like to escape, right, to the purple and the blue, right? And then she gets stuck, and there's no real sense that she does actually escape.
No.
Right, I will not be patient, I will not lie still, but it doesn't say I am not lying still or I am being patient, right? Like these are future tense verbs, not yeah, I'm really doing it. So it's like doubly stuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or it's even worse because she's not unstuck.
Yeah.
I just realized that.
Yeah. No, I hadn't thought of that either. Yeah, I will not lie still. So sometime in the future, maybe I'll be able to get out from wherever this trap that I'm in, you know, stuck in this room here.
Right. And I think, well, and then, and Hank, you also pointed out the kinesthetic imagery of leaping and dancing, right? And that is so, it's obviously the opposite of lying still, but she says she's going to do that in the future. So again, it's, and I think the moment of exasperation, the kind of subtitle written in a moment of exasperation, right? She is exasperated, she's not healed, or she's not past it, right?
Yeah,
and I
can.
think it's literal. I think if I remember correctly, she was kind of an invalid, and they did live near a cemetery, so it could be taken literally. But of course, there's the figurative, anybody being stuck
Right.
in a situation. So Mike,
Right.
why did you...
Well, and I can say more about her,
okay.
biography in a second, but the reason I picked this is I had never seen this before. I'd never heard of her before, and I did some sleuthing after I read the poem, and it said that her stuff has basically gone out of print for the most part, and there's only a few of her poems that still kind of pop up, and you can't even get her stuff. It went out of print back in like the 1930s or something like that. All right, well, what struck me, though, the first time I read this is first the title. That's why I went and looked at it. And then this whole idea of how can you lie so still? And she's almost like angry. Oh, have you no rebellion in your bones? You know, she's like calling out these skeletons like, hey, you losers, you know, like, what? Why don't you get up? You got to dance, move. What are you doing, you know? And I just thought that was so strange. And then I wondered where it says, the text so weary in my ears, lie still and rest, be patient and lie still and rest, which is kind of what the dead are doing in the ground, right? They're lying still and they're resting. And so she feels like this death in life where she's being told, don't move, sit still, lay there. And she feels obviously this like empathy towards the dead, towards these skeletons lying in the ground.
For it to be weary in her ears, she must have heard it many times, right? To stay still, to not move, to not do something. Which, when somebody is fragile, or that's common. What we would tell them, you know, is that it's dangerous for you to go somewhere. So don't go anywhere.
Yeah, just sit still, don't move.
Yeah.
You're fine. Right. And so that really struck me that she was getting so angry at these dead bodies in the ground. I thought that was totally bizarre. And then when suddenly she was out running, which you guys just spoke about, I really like the lines towards the end. She said she's going to flash an unquenched defiance to the stars, which, you know, it's just like the entire universe, as far as I can see, I'm going to say, no, I don't accept this. I don't want this. And then at the end where it says, keeping the edge of deprivation sharp, I will clamor it through weary days. So I'm still wondering what that means, keeping the edge of deprivation. So is she depriving herself of something, or because she's an invalid, like you said, John, she is going to she's going to use that deprivation that's been put on her in a way?
To keep her motivated.
Right, that's what I think it is. Like, it'd be easy to give up at that point, and she's not. She's going to stay sharp with that, not let it dull her senses to what she wants, rather than the hand that she's been dealt. Yeah.
So, well, go ahead.
So, like 2/3 of the way through the poem, like here on page 2, when she says, and if the many sayings of the wise teach of submission, So who is that? Like, who are the wise that teach of submission?
Well, I think it's all the people that are making her weary in her
like the
ears to lie.
doctors
Right.
and- yeah.
Right.
So-
The adults around her, everybody
Yeah.
else.
And so this kind of reminds me, it might be interesting to like think of the yellow wallpaper, that story where the woman kind of gets like medically put into a room and
Yes.
has to rest and then goes crazy, right? So that might be a nice pair.
It actually would be. It's similar theme.
Because you
Yeah.
can see her maybe going the same route if she doesn't.
Yeah, get out of this room.
Well, maybe that's what she's fighting against, right? With these images of getting out and running. And she's going to, not only is she fighting against what other people are telling her, but maybe in her own mind, what her own mind is telling her, you know, and that's how she's staying strong against this.
Yeah.
And it is, like you said, I like how you said splash of color, because it's almost like hallucinatory, where she's like
Yeah.
imagining these crazy purple woodlands and blue mountains, and it's very vivid, like from a dream. And so to say a little bit more about her life, she died at the age of 36, I found, and she had meningitis. I think they called it tuberculosis of the brain back then, or something to that effect. And so she had been given like a terminal diagnosis for about a 2-year span or something like that. And so she wrote most of her stuff right at the end, and it all has to do with death and dying. And so when I read this, I read that, and then I looked through this again, and I thought that she's putting her, because she knows she's going to be one of these people soon, she's like putting herself into that skeleton, you know, like I know I'm going to be that soon, and I want to, you know, get up and give me something to go for, give me something to go on here.
Give me a belief that I'm going to be able to get up and run once I'm there.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Like I hope on the other side, or whatever happens next,
Right.
I'll be able to do all these things. So when I read about her life, that the poem, I don't know, it struck me even more. At first, I just thought it was a creepy kind of speaking to the dead, but then you read her life, and it's like, wow, this is literal, like you said. This actually happened to her. So
I would just say, like, I really love, like, the second to last line. She says, "Resignation, sister to defeat." The way she's trying to, like, very minutely, delineate, right? You're defeated, so you resign. I don't know. I just like it when poets really try to be super precise in that, right? Like, giving us that sense of the precision of her thinking or feeling.
Yeah, those last 4 lines really show you her determination.
right.
You know, as she's looking out into the future, as you said, she knows what's coming next, but she's not going to quit.
Yeah, and even like the contraction, "I'll not be patient, I will not lie still." Like, "I will not lie still." Those are
Yeah.
Yes,
harsh,
it's very forceful.
Yeah, forceful versus
Yeah,
the
if you were going
contraction.
to do a reading of that, you'd probably
Yeah.
really give yourself some separation between each of those words. And it, you
And the
know,
contraction in the first half of the line doesn't allow.
makes
right?
it quick, right?
Yeah.
I'll not be patient, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
not lie
impatience
still.
as you read that line,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
which is ironic. And that's the other thing I did like about the poem, too, is that it ends on this positive note. You know, I mean, if this would have ended in despair, I don't think that it would be as powerful. The fact that, you know, she's not going to give up, she's not going to give in, no matter what. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Like,
Right.
no matter what, she's going to
Right.
yell it to the stars.
Yeah, you could really see how the pace and tempo and how the lines are structured, and even where breaks fall in their own individual lines, how she structured it to tell the story as you read it, right? I like as you get into the sentence just above the text so weary in my ears, pause, right? You got a colon there. Lie still, line break,
Right.
and rest, break, right?
Yeah,
and then
so-
it flows right into the rest of it.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
a lot of thought, I bet, that she gave to those breaks.
Because it seems like an end stop, but it's not. It's in jam, so it is like an interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because she could basically almost put periods at the end of every line.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, if this was a piece of music, those would be, you know, your phrases inside of there, you know, so you'd feel how that music's supposed to flow. And she's kind of structured that in the line breaks and then in the punctuation within the sentences or the breaks, the snippets themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
Hey, this has been great. Thank you, Hank,
Yeah,
for being
thanks for
here.
letting me join
Thanks.
you. I love
Yeah.
Very brave. It takes a brave man to talk about poetry on a first read. So
I think we
Thanks
just
for having me,
got
guys.
sharked. He's like, well, I've never read this before, but let me give you some great insights into.
all right. Well,
Thanks for
joining
having me,
us.
guys. This is a lot of fun.
Be sure to join us at trojanpoetrydgn.blogspot.com and check out us on Twitter at trojanpoetrydgn.